Thesummerhikarudied took the internet by storm when the first few episodes of the anime became available on Netflix, July of 2025. Many fans of the manga were excited to see it become adapted into TV form, and people who hadn't really heard of it before, me, were very quickly introduced to it from being in the general sphere of sad, sometimes gay TV shows with amazing animation. Because I'd never heard of this series before, I went into it completely blind, to which my friend offered to help explain all the lore to me that I would need to know prior to and while watching the show. Same friend who explained Alien Stage to me, she really is always putting me on peak. And 1 3-hour-long Discord call later, I was fully invested in this show. Not only does it intrigue me, but the writing, characters, symbolism, animation, they all work together to create one of my favorite animes in a long time, and it seems like a lot of people agree. I've got help from said friend to talk about and analyze our interpretations of the series based on what's come out so far. I'm going to be summarizing the basic plot of the first 12 episodes that have come out so far and just talking about my general opinion on it, and she's going to be summarizing the manga chapters and also giving her take on the show. Guys, guess what? Guess what I'm using right now? Full microphone for the first time. Oh my god, I can't believe it either. Anyways, moving on. Okay, we've got to get this out of the way before we continue with this one. If this video is your introduction to the show, Hikaru did not die. I say that in quotation marks because this is fairly complex to explain, so I just want to get it out of the way now. Indo Hikaru, or the original Hikaru, is the one that died. In a flashback, Hikaru is told that the members of his family have to marry as quickly as possible, or else, due to loneliness, an entity called Anuki-sama, who feeds off of loneliness, will take the person that they want to marry to the mountains. 6 months before where the series starts off, Hikaru takes off to Red Sand Mountain to complete the ritual that keeps impurities away from them. While he was there though, he saw a suggestive-looking tree, got distracted, and fell to his death. Really? I mean, once you start to figure out who Hikaru is, that is very Hikaru of him, so I'm not really surprised. I'm gonna just quickly go through some of the main characters. Hikaru, in quotation marks, I'm not gonna say it like that the entire time, don't worry, is the Hikaru who showed up after he suddenly died. With short white hair and red in his eyes, Hikaru is one of our main characters of the series. Again, he is not actually Hikaru. Hikaru did die. Hikaru is an entity who took the form of Hikaru, inheriting all of his memories, looks, and most of his personality traits. Yoshiki is our POV character of this story. Gray eyes, long black hair, and a noticeable amount of moles. Asako, Yuki, and Yuta are all Yoshiki and Hikaru's classmates. The 5 of them form a solid friend group that we see pretty often. A week after Hikaru had seemingly been missing in the mountains, he and Yoshiki stop by an ice cream shop together. But the original dynamic falters when Yoshiki finally spits out the question that had been bugging him for the past 7 days. "You're not the real Hikaru, are you?" Hikaru's stunned, thinking it to be impossible that Yoshiki found out it wasn't him, because he thought that he was doing an amazing job at fooling everyone. He begs Yoshiki not to tell anyone else that it's not the real him, and that he promises he won't try and kill him, and Yoshiki agrees, thinking to himself that it's better to have a version of Hikaru in his life, even if it isn't the real him. While we go through what is now Yoshiki and Hikaru's new normal, we also get introduced to a member of the company, Tanaka, and his pet hamster who can basically sniff out things from the other side. One day after school, when Yoshiki, Hikaru, and a few of their friends are walking Yoshiki back home, Yoshiki starts seeing impurities. Because he's spending so much time with Hikaru, he's mixing with him, which gives him the ability to see things like impurities that other people can't. I don't wanna, really butcher these people's names. I feel really bad. Soon, Yoshiki starts to confide in Koribayachi, a housewife who can also see things like impurities, to try and speed up their goal of trying to figure out what the hell Hikaru is.
Chapter 27 starts off with Tanaka stopping Hikaru from returning to the mountains and explains the truth behind the village's beliefs. He reveals that Hikaru is not a protective god, Nanuki-sama, but a rare supernatural being created through contact with the other side. The rituals passed down by the Indo family are ineffective, and the real danger is a hole between worlds that is leaking impurities into the village. Tanaka asks Yoshiki and Hikaru to help close it, and Yoshiki confronts his own selfish wish to keep Hikaru with him and just chooses to move forward together. The chapter ends with strange lights streaking across the night sky, showing that the situation is getting worse. After Tanaka's lore drop, Yoshiki, Hikaru, and Kurebayashi return home while trying to process what they've learned. The chapter focuses on their unease and uncertainty, emphasizing Yoshiki's fear of losing Hikaru again, and the unknown consequences of dealing with the hole. The strange lights in the sky linger as a sign that the boundary between worlds is continuing to weaken. The group travels to the neighboring village of Ashidori to investigate further. During this chapter, Hikaru begins to actively use his powers, revealing that he can interact with spiritual disturbances tied to the hole. This confirms that he may be essential to sealing it. The investigation expands beyond Yoshiki's village, showing that the phenomenon is widespread and not isolated. In Ashidori, the group arrives during the Hoko festival. Local folklore and festival dolls are revealed to be symbolic attempts to patch holes from long ago, suggesting that similar disasters occurred in the past. While Yoshiki and Hikaru learn more about the historical role of holes, Asuko begins her own independent investigation, being the girl boss she is, setting up parallel efforts to deal with the crisis. The story fully shifts into problem-solving mode as multiple holes are confirmed to exist across different locations. Tanaka explains that holes can only truly be closed from the other side, meaning that humans who cross over may not return. Hikaru tries to accept his non-human nature, realizing that his existence may be tied to the holes themselves. Yoshiki struggles with the fear that helping save the world might mean losing Hikaru forever. Different strategies are attempted to close the holes. Hikaru enters the other side to seal one from within, while Tanaka and Asuko attempt a more dangerous approach by negotiating with an impurity. One hole is successfully closed, but the cost is severe, leaving Tanaka permanently injured and reinforcing that every solution comes with a sacrifice. It's sort of the whole message of wishing in this series. The consequences of closing holes begin to surface. The group realizes that sealing them may destabilize the balance that allowed Hikaru to exist in the first place. Yoshiki is forced to confront the possibility that saving the world could mean truly saying goodbye to Hikaru. The arc remains unresolved, with the story building toward a confrontation between personal attachment and the necessity of letting go, as the characters struggle with their own internal conflicts. Bro, this series is just so peak. I've been in the fandom for a while. I started reading the manga around late 2022 to early 2023, and I think the reason I was drawn to the manga was because of the LGBT panel, like spelled literally. You know the panel, you know what I'm talking about. But I thought the art style was so cute and everything, and like, oh my god, yeah. So I decided to get into the series, and it wasn't cute at all. Like, what is happening? What are all these metaphors about internalized homophobia and homosexuality? Anyways, I think the series is just so well written. Like, everything means something. The feeling Yoshiki has about feeling suppressed in such a conservative environment hits really close to home, not just for me, but for many people. It's relatable. What I really like most, though, is everything based around the original Hikaru and the fake Hikaru. The being that Hikaru is a being that is seen as a god, the devil, or a mass of something like hell. He is something that shouldn't exist. The reason he shouldn't is because of just how dangerous he is without even trying to be. It's revealed later that Hikaru has an instinct to quote-unquote grant wishes, and he doesn't really even grant them. Like, he does, but not like how a genie grants wishes. Instead, Hikaru twists reality in order for the wish to come true. If you've ever heard of the short story Monkey's Paw, then think of the way that the entity grants wishes. It's almost the same as the monkey's paw. For those who haven't read it, it's basically a bunch of people wishing for their desires from a monkey's paw. But since it has no concept of humanity, emotions, or morals, it takes every wish literally. And that's exactly the same situation with Hikaru. He's not human, no matter how much he wants to be. So his intentions don't matter because the wishes he grants will almost always end in pain, sadness, and sorrow. I really just love plots that have something similar to this. I may just love sadness or whatever, but it's in situations like these where you can really see what exactly the characters want and their desperation. Hikaru wants to be with Yoshiki, and Yoshiki wants to be with Hikaru. I also just love characters in any type of relationship that one is human and the other one looks human but is actually like a dead person or something and is like a supernatural eating thing, like Mitsuba from TBHK.
One of my favorite aspects when it comes to this show, when I figured it out, or more like when I got told when I was watching, is all the metaphors that show up in almost every aspect of this series. Especially the beach scene. Oh my god, the beach scene. Like, just the whole aspect of Hikaru being a monster and Yoshiki admitting that he doesn't mind being one as well. Oh my god, bro. The feeling of being an odd one out or different in any context, I feel like hits so hard for queer people specifically, because obviously we're a marginalized group. Hikaru is always trying his best to seem human. He doesn't know what it's like, and whenever he's the most unhuman that he can get, when he turns fully into an impurity, he gets so upset with himself, even though one of the only people that he's ever let that fully happen with is Yoshiki. Also, especially considering the fact that they live in a very small conservative town. It adds to the relatability, and I feel like it just adds to the story as a whole. The fact that both Hikaru and Yoshiki are afraid of the wrong people finding out who they really are. The fear makes sense in the context. Right before Yoshiki is about to go through with his plan of killing Hikaru, he makes a call to his mom basically saying goodbye. The call was really ominous and not like him. His sister literally asks after why he was talking so quietly. Turns out his plan was to kill Hikaru and then himself. But because killing him didn't work in the first place, obviously he stayed alive. Yoshiki attempts to kill Hikaru not because he actually wants to, but because, like any other person, he's scared of what he doesn't understand. Having Hikaru back, even if it isn't really him, is forcing him not only to confront his past feelings for the real Hikaru, but his sexuality as a whole. I also feel like a lot of the fact of him being suicidal obviously has to do with just all of the shit that he's going through. Like, dude, this is the type of series where every time anything happened, my only thought was just, how the fuck is anyone okay after that? I mean, your childhood best friend who you actually had feelings for goes missing on a hike. You find out he's dead, try to grieve, only to find out that a carbon copy version of him shows up like while you're actively trying to forget about him and move on. He also has the same sense of humor, naivety, mannerisms. Like, he's exactly what you've been missing, but at the same time, he still doesn't fill that gap because it's not him. And it never will be. I mean, when you come to that realization, I'd imagine it'd be kind of hard to want to keep being around Hikaru. He probably just wanted to stop his own suffering, all the remembering about the past. It hurts when there's nothing that he can do about it except wallow. Hikaru has come to terms with his sexuality, and that's very clear in the monster analogy. He's accepted that he's a monster. He calls himself one all the time, and he wants to find out more about what he truly is. Yoshiki, on the other hand, well, it takes him a full 12 episodes to admit that he's gay, so do with that what you will. I mean, Hikaru expresses multiple times how much he means to him and how much he likes him, and this dude just doesn't say it back or reciprocate whatsoever. I think that it's possible that Yoshiki going inside of or feeling inside of Hikaru is actually a metaphor for kissing. At first, it really grosses him out, but once he gets used to it, he realizes that it's not actually as bad as he first thought it was. I also think that the horror aspect of this series might have been used on purpose. The nature of impurities, the fact that their insides are seen as super gross or scary or unpredictable, which shines a light on Yoshiki's own internalized homophobia. It's something that's so painful to watch, but also so easy to relate to. Seeing homosexuality as something unnatural, disgusting, or something that shouldn't be felt. He's scared of Hikaru because he's exactly what he is not, but what he wishes he could be. At first, when Hikaru turns into his true impurity form, he's grossed out by it. But then he realizes that he's not really scared of it. It's more like he feels like he should be, but he knows that he isn't. The slow realization is really what makes this feel all that more realistic. Yoshiki coming to terms with his sexuality. On a Reddit thread, I saw someone add that this scene specifically also touches on the fear of feeling or loving too deeply. Hikaru probably feels embarrassed whenever his true form shows, because he fears that it freaks Yoshiki out, like the real him is too much for him to handle. But right when it looks like that's going to be the case, Yoshiki realizes that that's not true at all. I feel like this person put it perfectly. Here, the story gently asks, what if the problem isn't the intensity of that feeling, but the shame that has been attached to it? Hey, end of the video. My next video is going to be about indie animation, and I'm very excited about it. So if you want to be a part of it, you can comment and basically just rant about or like mention, give a shout out to any of your favorite indie like creators, series, projects, anything, and I'll find a way to fit it in that video.